Well, thanks for clicking on this episode of Bladerunner Tool Sharpening's Before and After. A gentleman just brought this kukri, another one. This one's a little bit sad shape. The holster is pretty cool. The sheath is pretty bitchin'. We do have our issues on the knife. This knife in particular was made in India. And we've got some nasty things going on here at the edge. Apparently he was in Idaho visiting his father, and a neighbor or something said, yeah, come on over and we'll throw some spades. Throw some spades. What the heck are you talking about? Well, apparently he had some digging spades that the Spetsnaz use, or whatever it is that Russian elite force uses. Well, they don't use them for digging. They use them as a weapon. So he's sharpened this spade, and he's throwing this spade at a target. And then he brings out the kukri, and they start throwing the kukri at the target. Well, you can imagine what happens with a knife when you start whacking away at it, throwing it at things and missing and such. We have no handle left. This is like 16 penny nails, framing nails, that he stuck in there and just bent over. So what we're gonna do, he gave this to my friend apparently. So I says, gosh, I want to put a handle on there, man. I'd be more than happy to do that for you. He says, yeah, sure, go ahead. So this will be a fun experience. I'm not sure what these are here. I didn't see that on that other kukri at all that I had. It's pretty beat up. They have been throwing it way more than it should be, I guess. It's not really a throwing knife, but we'll see what happens, and I'll show you my results when I return. Hey, we appreciate you hanging in on this episode of Bladerunner Tool Sharpening's Before and After. That kukri I was showing you, first of all, I want to make a correction. It came from Montana, and the trenching shovels that they were using was actually the Spetsnaz. The Spetsnaz, they were not the Speknak or whatever the heck, whatever I called them anyhow. The sheath on that kukri, remember it had a bent tip and a notch out of the edge. The sheath itself was very scuffed up. I think what it is like a paper mache. So what I did was I just used a 500 grit wet dry sandpaper, very lightly sanded it, and put some black shoe polish on it, and it came out pretty sweet. Polish up the brass, which I love doing anyhow. Now the knife itself, I did, like I said, I fixed the tip, rebent the tip back, I fixed the edge, fixed as many of the scratches and dings and things out of it as I possibly could. Very sharp, it's got a lot of bite to it. I thought I'd get a little bit fancy because this is more of a ceremonial knife than anything, and this gentleman really isn't going to use it for anything. He's basically just going to keep it. I put some scroll work on there. I'm starting to really enjoy putting scroll work on some of my own personal knives that I make from ROA knives. Now the handle, I used this material, which I think is an ebony. And I do believe that this actual wood came from Ernie Ball Guitar Works, so that's kind of cool in itself. But I'm going to pause at the moment and show you some pictures of a couple of the processes of putting the handle on. Okay, now that you got an idea of what it took to get the handle on, the paper that I put in between the liner paper, that's a special paper, you glue that in, as well as your ebony. So this is how it came out. Now what I had to do is, most every kukri I've ever seen has a flared handle, because they're so forward heavy. When you swing that thing, you don't want it flying out of your hand, so it kind of hooks on your small finger there. I had to weld on a couple of pieces of farrier file from knife making, and I shaped it all up, and I was incorrect also in the previous video. These little notches are in real kukri knives from Nepal. They're also finger holders, so that there's something there for you to grab onto. Like I said, we used an ebony wood, and I put some teak oil on it. I used brass pins. I put some teak oil on it with that 500 grit wet dry sandpaper. I did that for like 45 minutes, and then I let it sit for 72 hours, and then I shined it all up and polished it up. I put some scroll work all the way around the handle work, which I've never done that before. And that is what makes the world go round here at Blade Runner Tool Sharpening Before and After. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hey, give us a like and share our Facebook page, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, with Blade Runner, there's never a dull moment.